Hey guys, welcome to my video, welcome to my channel, welcome to another chapter working on this guy right here. That is Dominic's 1970 Charger from the Fast and Furious movie. So, I'll load my intro, we'll get to it. Well, thank you for showing up. Thanks for coming out. And so we're going to continue on. Been a little bit busy this past week doing a few things on this guy. Mainly the door panels. As you guys know, I sanded these down, filled them in with that Tamiya putty, sanded it down a little bit, and I wasn't really happy with the results. Just every time I try and get that putty sanded down to where it was only in those little cracks or the crevices in the door panel, it would kind of just pull out of the crack completely because it's so shallow. So what I did is I just kind of gave up on that, and I grabbed my Vallejo plastic putty. It's this one here. Going to a big camera there, you can see plastic putty. This one is water-based. So what I did is I put it in a little container, and a little bit of water, and I stirred it up and basically turned it into like a self-leveling concrete kind of thing. Turned it into a kind of a puddle, and I masked off around the edge of the door, and I basically just laid it down in there and let it settle. And you know, of course, because it's water-based, took a little while to dry, but that's fine, no big deal. I let it settle there and let it dry, and then I took very fine sandpaper just to sand a little bit, and I've now got door panels that are pretty good. I'll change the camera and I'll show you. They're not perfect, okay? I'll tell you that right now. I'm not a sculptor, I'm not good at that, so bear with me, okay? Okay, so you can see it's not perfect. I've got a few little imperfections up along the top edge, but down on the bottom here it's perfectly smooth. Okay, perfectly smooth. That is beautiful right there. Up here, not so much. And this is the driver's side. The driver's side came out a little better, except for that little spot there. If I get it in the right light, you can see it. A little divot in the top there. That I got a little one of those, but that's fine. And yeah, so I'm basically going to say, yeah, this door's aluminum, got aluminum sheet on it, and maybe they screwed up. Maybe they put a dent in it here or there, and they didn't get it exactly perfect. It's not a show car, it's a race car, so they didn't care. I do need to paint them aluminum. I'm going to brush paint it with this, with Tamiya's LP70. So that's what we're going to do. That's our first thing we're going to get done, is get some paint on our door panels. Okay. So, just want to change my glasses here. And we will get started. Okay, so let's grab a brush. I think this brush will do fine. I don't need any super fine detailed brush for this. In an attempt to now that I'm just thinking about it, maybe I do want to spray paint this. You know what? I just changed my mind. I'm going to spray this. I can get a much smoother finish by spray painting it. So let's clean my brush. Fire up my air compressor, get my airbrush ready here. Good to go. Okay. help myself out a little bit by using Mr. Leveling Thinner instead of the Tamiya thinner like I normally would. Tamiya's lacquers, they work with this stuff too. But this stuff just, it helps it stay a little bit wet for just a little bit longer, and that helps the paint level out before it dries on you. Put a few drops in there. Don't need much because I'm really only painting these 2 panels, and so I don't need a lot. And see, that's settled a little bit, so let's just shake it again. Go. Okay. Clean up this edge and close that up. Okay. Mix in here. I know a lot of guys use a brush. Doesn't matter. We're talking about metal pieces here. Probably have used a little more of the leveling thinner, but that's okay. Okay, let's spray these things. Let me change the camera so you can see. I'll get my desk set up. My table, I mean. Let's see how we're doing here. Okay. So I have this piece here, and well, it's already dry, but now you can see my brush strokes, and that's what I wanted to avoid. So let's just kind of sand this down a little bit and smooth that out, because it doesn't look good. Of course, the aluminum color does show the imperfections a little more than the black, but that's all right. Let's try that and see how this looks. Throw some paint on it. Okay, that's good for a base coat. I do want to put it on a little thicker than I normally would, because I do want to try and hide my imperfections if I can. But base coat's good enough for a first run. Okay. Now, let's blast it a little bit. Get some wet paint on here. This panel looks pretty good. It's not bad at all. My passenger door panel definitely is not as nice looking as that one. I did a better job on the other one. but if I can lay on some wet paint and maybe smooth this out by making the paint thick. And that'll be good. Using the paint as a filler. It'll take a little bit longer to dry, of course, but it's not the end of the world. There we go. Okay, do one more on here, just to maybe more on. Okay, there we go. That's it. Those are done. All right. So, with those done, I have to clean my brush. I will edit this part out so that you guys don't have to watch me cleaning my brush for the next 5 minutes. Yep. And yep. There we go. Now, I started spraying dry, and instead of the paint laying down, it kind of stood up on itself. So I'm going to just get that laid down a little bit. I'll use a little bit lighter sandpaper. This is 7000 grit. 7000 grit. I just want to make this a little more smooth, because even though I was trying to lay it on thick, it kind of screwed it up. It's okay, this side's fine. Okay, so I need to mask these edges so I can get these black again like they're supposed to be. So, do this, and right on the edge, like that. That. And we'll do the front. This little section in here, right in there, that doesn't matter. That's going to be covered. That's where the dash connects in, like this. The dashboard connects in there. It's going to sit right in that little channel, like that. So it doesn't matter if that's painted or not, right? But this part should be black. So let's do that. Like that. Now let's go the extra mile and do the middle section. Why not? Just to ensure I don't get any overspray. It also allows me to just spray like this and it won't matter. Okay, there we go. This one. Let's do this guy. Do it right in the middle first. Why not, right? Actually, that's not where I need it. I need it more like here. That one. This one lined up. Okay. It's that one. And finally, this one. Okay, so I'm just going to use my Mr. Surfacer Black, like I've been using all this whole time, and we'll put that done. Put them down at the same time here. What the heck? I don't normally show you guys the when I spray paint with a rattle can, but why not, right? Why not show you? do both edges. So this down here. There we go. Done. Let that dry for a minute. Okay. So while that's drying, it's time to look at the rear end. Okay. So with the rear end, we need to consider. See, I'm jumping ahead, even though I haven't, there's a lot to build on it, but I need to focus today on the rear end, the rear axle here, okay? Because I've got this thing, we're doing custom, right? I've chopped this out in here to fit our bigger tires, and they're gonna fit in just like this, and like this, right? Okay, which means they are gonna be narrower, which means the rear axle needs to be narrowed, okay? So I need to try and figure out just exactly how narrow it goes. So what I've done is on our rear wheels, I've put on our brake discs like we're supposed to. The kit comes with 4 little metal pins that go in right there. And now you can see I can spin that on that pin. Okay. And they just get pushed into the axle like this. Okay. We get that. Now how exactly they want you to glue the pin into there, because that's metal, you'd have to use CA glue. You'd have to be extremely sparing with your CA glue, but it is a tight fit in there. It's tight. I think just a pressure hold, if I really shove that in there, that might be fine. But I need to try and get these in. So because these wheels are not designed for these tires, I need to put some CA glue on this lip right here. CA glue on the edge, right in there, and get that tucked in behind. Okay. So I'm going to put them through the back here, like that. And I need to put some CA glue on there. So I'm going to get my CA glue ready here. If the tip was small enough, I'd like to be able to just, you know, take the glue bottle and just go doink into that, but it's too wide, it's too thick. It's not going to work for me, so I need to use something much smaller to get in there. And I'm probably still going to get glue where I don't want it, just because. If I squeeze the tire like this, I can probably get my applicator in there without touching the tire, right? I say probably because it's kind of a theory. I also not quite 100% sure how much contact it's going to have. So a little more, get one more spot. Okay, now we've got to get this wheels kind of shoved up to the top on this lip, but not too far. There we go. Like I said, because it's not a perfect fit on the tire, it's easy to not have it sit proper. So that's where we're at. So I'm going to use my accelerator, put a drop or two in there. Hopefully not dump the bottle over like I did last time. Okay, we'll let that sit before I really play around with it. Give that a minute, and we'll do the next one. Let's get this in through there. Okay, see how it kind of sits kind of loose inside the tire, right? So yeah, it's not a really tight fit. I got one of the front wheels installed on the front tires. You'll see what I mean. The front tire is a nice tight fit. You don't need any glue at all. And that is kind of typical for car tires. They usually do get them fitting pretty good. And I know I've seen like 3D printed rubber tires. It's like, really? 3D printed? So my tire's not actually rubber? I remember as a kid building model kits, I used to think that was really cool. The tires are really rubber tires. Why would you want anything other than real rubber tires? That's what I used to think anyway. Okay, so I think we got enough on there. Let's see if I can get this. This tire seems a little more willing to go into the spot it's supposed to be. Maybe not. Maybe it's just a little looser. I'm going to kind of put a little pressure there while I get my... Okay, with that one in, we'll let that sit for a minute. Let's see how well this one's holding. I'm not 100% confident in the holding ability because the tire is so flexible. It can easily just break away. But it's what we're doing. It's what we've got to deal with. Okay, so let's focus now on how narrow the axle has to be. Now with those in there, and I want them to be here and here, I now have a better idea of how narrow the axle needs to be, because it cannot be that narrow. If I want the axle in the middle, these mounting points here and here are where the axle mounts to the leaf springs, which the leaf springs are supposed to be mounted on these 2 points. Obviously that ain't going to happen with our tires in the way. So these here and here, this hole here is where they mount. I think I could relocate the leaf springs to the middle, to the inside of the frame rail instead of the outside. I'm going to grab the leaf springs. Here they are on the kit, right? Let me put the rear diff cover on there too. That's number 58, goes on to 55. Let me grab those, and I'll grab the leaf springs too. Let's grab these out of the box here. Just have to find them. Here they are. Here's our 2 leaf springs. There. diff cover right here. You know, I really should paint the diff cover aluminum. I really actually, you know, I really should just paint the whole diff aluminum. It looks like they've got holes here and here for like what would be like a brace for the diff. I wonder what differential this is supposed to be. Could be a Dana 60. I don't know. Okay, anyway, there's our diff. Okay, that's put on. I see our leaf springs are supposed to go, I don't know if that's on the inside, that's supposed to be this one here. So they're supposed to go with this block here forward. It's supposed to go like this and like that, and they go like that. Just like that, okay? But I'm thinking I could get away with on the inside of the frame like this. I could utilize, there's holes in the frame, in the block here and here. See those holes? Let's get the tire out of the way. You can see those holes there, here and here. I think this kit is supposed to be like, you could, they've probably made this so that it's a generic Dodge Charger, maybe for like Dukes of Hazzard or just a regular Charger, non-specific. And that's probably where your exhaust pipes are going to mount. Exhaust pipes are probably going to come through here and then go out here, right? And they probably mount here, and that's why they have those holes. I could utilize that to my advantage and use that as a mounting point, and then have them sitting like this. The problem might be, if I do that, the tire might interfere. Get the tire kind of hanging in its place like this. Put that in its hole. Yeah, the tire's hitting this block, restricting where I can mount it. If I move this back, I could mount it like that and mount it here. But that would move the diff back, so I can't do that. It needs to be in the middle of the tire, because we've got our mounting point right there. So another option would be let's see. I think this might work. If I shave this down, so it won't be so realistic, but shave this down so it's flush with this. Let's see here. Like I said, it won't be as realistic, but at this point it doesn't really matter, does it? We've already gone past the point of realistic. Because, I mean, somebody who's tubbed out their car to put in tires this wide, would not be using leaf spring suspension at all. They would have definitely gone for the upgrade and proper, either using a ladder bar suspension or 4-link, because, well, it's just a much better system for drag racing. Just use a file and get this down to a point where I'm also going to be filing the side of the leaf spring. There we go, we're starting there. Okay, so that's pretty much flush. I've actually, because I was filing on a bit of an angle, I made it a little thinner in that spot. That's alright. Okay, so that's with that thin. Put our tire back in place. Put this in its theoretical spot. We can now get that almost right up on there, but that's fine. That's kind of where we want it. If our tire is sitting out just a little bit, that's okay. If I put my tire right at the frame, like this, I could get that in there. Like that. That might work just like that. Okay. So I already don't have holes to line this up, so I'm going to get rid of the nub on here that's supposed to go in that hole. I'm just going to clip that off to give me a flat surface to glue to. I'm not ready for glue yet, obviously, but because I want it to fit right there and like that. I could drill another hole back here and get it lined up so that it can line up perfectly where it's supposed to by putting a hole here. I think I'm going to do that right now. So let's just get some flat edge to guide my knife. I want to be right in the middle, right there. For my pilot hole. Okay, get a drill bit. Use one of my tiny ones first. Go. Now we'll progressively make this hole bigger. I think this size should be perfect. It's a little bit bigger than what I need. So let's just go a step down. Maybe this one or this one. That's perfect size right there. Go. And there we go. Okay. So there's our new holes. Let's just get rid of that burr there. And there. Okay, so now we've got new mounting holes. So I can mount that exactly where I need it. And I could put it right there. And that is perfect, just like that. So now I'm going to shave this one down. Let's put this off. Okay. And I got to get rid of all this detail, so let's do that. And get to work on this. Actually, I took off the wrong side. I need to get rid of this side. Oops. That's okay. It's just underneath the car. It doesn't matter, right? Almost there. Okay, that's good enough. Dust all over the place. Mounting hole there. And we've got spots for our leaf springs. And I should be able to get the axle fed through underneath. And now I know exactly where I need to have these mounting points. Because that's got to sit like this. And if I do that, let me just get one of these glued in real quick here. Just so it is kind of... See, I've even got it in the wrong hole there. There. That's the hole it's supposed to be in. Now, I just realized I have an uneven surface here where they've got the, I guess it's supposed to be a fuel line going back here. So I need to trim this off first, so I'm going to take that off and trim our fuel line down. To give me a flat surface to glue down on. Let's get this in spot again. Quite get that enough. Go back a little further. And this is the challenge of customizing stuff. So never know quite what you're going to get into, and the challenge that you're going to have, right? Okay, so that's in. Just came out of its hole. Get back in your hole. This might not even be a permanent gluing, but I want to get it in there. Okay, so there we are. That'll at least hold for a minute. Okay. And I'm going to try and test fit this on here. Yeah, see, my rim just pushed through, I think. Did it? Yeah. Rim's not holding. It actually looks like it was still wet. I might have to really give these a long time to dry. Is this the side I want? Yes. Let's push that on there. That's pretty close to exactly where I need it. Let's fish this through. Now, unfortunately, you can see where that mounting point is. It's actually inside the rim, inside the tire there. It's in here. You can't see it anymore. Which tells me all this work to get those pushed in so that they fit, it ain't gonna work. And I just made my rim come out of the tire trying to adjust it. Yeah. Clearly not glued in. Solid. I don't want to try and put CA glue on the outside here. But I might not have any choice. I might have to slather it with CA glue. I just want to get this lined up. This is basically going to sit like this. I think I'm going to have to take our nubs. There's a little point sticking out right there. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. Right there. Okay. Right there and there. There's a little point sticking up. And that's going to go into a little slot that's in the underneath of the leaf spring, like this, right? That's what it's supposed to do. But because they're not going to line up due to the fatness of the tires, if I were to have that on there, just kind of hold that there, the tire's going to hit it, right? And basically not even this, our peg just barely touches on there. So that just isn't going to work. This is going to wind up being more like this. And that would give us some room to do that. So I'm going to shave off our little nubs on here. Actually, I'll just do this. It's going to be easier. down smooth. I'll actually file them down smooth. Now, unfortunately, on each side of the axle, I've got to trim a whole lot off. I'm going to have to cut the axle and redo it. Whether I cut here or here, I haven't decided yet. But I need to cut and make it much shorter, right? I think it might be easier if I cut it here and then shorten it whatever I need to do to have the drive shaft in the center. Right? So this part is a little bit scary to do. I don't like cutting like this, but it's something that's necessary. We have to cut this. And one thing that is nice is this is one piece circle. And therefore, there's no seam. A lot of these axles that they put in these cars are 2 halves, and if that were the case, I'd have to deal with that, the 2 halves wanting to come apart. I do have a saw somewhere. I just don't remember where I put it. It's around here somewhere, but I don't remember where I put it. The saw would make it a lot easier. Another thing you could use is if you've got the tiny little saws. I've got those too. I've got a couple of those lying around here. Like this. This is a saw. Very flimsy. It's great for things like trimming like aircraft wings, if you want to make functional flaps and stuff like that. It's great for that. But it would be good if you wanted to make functional doors on the car too. Tiny little teeth on it help to create such a fine little line. They dig in and they cut a lot better than just the knife would. But then again, the blade is flimsy. See that? It's flimsy, right? So you can't really dig in that hard. Almost through. It's almost coming off now. There we go. Okay, so that's done. I wasn't expecting it to be solid. Okay, so now what I'll do is shove this in here. Since our rim is not glued anyway, shoved in there like that. See, it's a tight fit. Okay, this is going to go like that, and we can see where it's not really touching that at all. Not even straight. that's okay. Alright, so to get our diff in the center, you can see how much we have to take off. Get it to a point where it's going to stay. That's pretty close. So if I just kind of mark it right about here. Right about here. You get a score through the paint there, and I can see it. Right there. Let's get this off of there. Oh, my glue didn't hold. Nice. There's where this needs to be cut now. Right there. This is this is the tough part. Getting this to actually be a straight cut. And I have a tool that I'm going to try. I've never tried this on plastic. This is a pipe cutter, right? So you can cut copper pipe, aluminum pipe, anything. I'm going to try this. I haven't tried it on plastic. This is my first time trying this. So, I hold that in like this. Tighten this up. Put that in a spot. Exactly where I need it. And now it's at a point I can't see where the line is. You know what? just do this. How about this? That's about as close to as it's gonna get. Okay, so to glue that on now. Okay, the challenge with this, now some guys, they might put a pin in there, drill a hole in there, and you can pin it. My experience, I try that, and I'll get it just, I'll get it a 1/2 millimeter off center. Is that a better way to go? Maybe. What I can do to kind of help is put a little hole in here. That will allow me to get a little bit more glue in there. So kind of So I'm kind of gluing not just a flat solid piece against a flat solid piece. Yeehaw. Fling your knife around. See what happens. Yeah. Okay. So there we go. I've just drilled a little bit of hole, carved a little hole in there. Gives the glue somewhere to go. I'm going to close this up because I don't need it. Use this stuff because it dries a little bit slower, and so it melts the plastic a little bit more. Smeared around a little bit. It's going to start to glue almost right away and hold it, which will also give me a chance to position it to the spot it's supposed to be and straighten it. Got it pretty much straight and pretty much where it belongs. It's like that. If you move it too much while this one's setting, it'll debond on you. Okay, so there we go. That's kind of what we need right there. Now this is loosened up a little bit, and that's fine. I only wanted it kind of tacked in there anyway. So that, just like that, is going to give me the room I need. So I can either wait a while and do that. Okay, I want to let that sit. I want to let that cure. Okay, it's already been, 3/4 of an hour or so. I did want to get the interior done today. So let's focus back on our interior. I will continue with the rear axle later. Okay. I want to let that glue dry and set, cure really good before I start playing around anymore with it. Okay. So let's switch our focus back to our door panels. Masking tape off of this. Door panel number 1. Really sticks well. And door panel number 2. Okay. Alright, so we have those. Let's flip back in our book and take a look to our interior. So we've already done all this. This is done. Here's our interior here with some extra bits lying in it. Okay, there's that. Dashboard's done. That's sitting right here. We've got our firewall done. That's this guy right here. And so we're going to put it all together. So let's do that. We've got this door panel. Oh, I gotta paint the door handles themselves. Pardon me. Let's get some flat black. Getting ahead of myself. I've got to paint our door handles. And our windshield roller uppers. touch up that spot on the master cylinder. And the top of the brake booster. This whole top actually could use a coat of paint, but that's fine. Okay, door handle and windshield roller upper thingies. Okay, there's that one. And because we are working in a 3D world, we got to do the underside as well. Does not like to paint over the aluminum for some reason. Unusual for Tamiya paint. Okay, there's one. Tamiya flat could actually use a little bit of a retarder in it, because it does seem to see it drying in the lid as I'm painting here. It's drying in the lid. Okay, our roller upper. There we go. Okay, door panels painted. That little detail is done now. And that's an important thing, because once it's assembled, you ain't gonna get in there to paint it. Okay. Back to this. Door panel going to go right in here, like so. That lined up on there. It's going to line up just like this. Okay. Let's get some thin. seem to line up pretty nicely. Okay, there's one. Let's get our second one in. I don't know if I've got some curvature of the floorboard going on here. This one doesn't want to fit as nice. At least it doesn't seem like it. It seems to be, see that? It's not lining up. I'm not sure why. This side's lined up perfectly straight along there. Maybe not 100%, but this one's not really, at the front it's not even really touching. Anyway, we've got that. So let's get our dashboard in there. It's supposed to slide in those two slots. Like so. Might be able to see from your angle. You can see the gap here, right there. See it? It's not even touching. I'm gonna hold it down a little bit and try and get that glue to work. I'm just going to hold that for 10 to 30 seconds here. And then our firewall has to go in here. Just like so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue. I'm going to use this glue all around the edge here. A little bit thicker. Come on. It would help if I got it the right way around. Usually does help. make sure got a good solid bond with everything. So we've got a good strong bucket going on here. Now the aluminum door panels is just kind of like a little feature. Yeah, you can see the gap right there, but I think it's going to be fine because this lines up perfect along here. This panel actually can't go down any further, even though there is a gap. It lines up good back here. I'm going to add just a little bit more along this edge. I think my glue bottle is getting a little empty. See, now that I look at it, there is a little bit of a gap on this side too, right in there. Doink, right there. It's a very tiny gap. It's not as big as this one, but it's there. But that's okay. So there's our interior. That's done. Okay. So this is where I'm going to leave it for today, guys. Okay. That's where I'm going to call this done, at least for today. And let's close these up so I don't spill them. The next step, if we're going by the book, the next step is to put our windshield and everything inside the body. This guy here. Let's put our windshield in and our back window, our center dome light in the middle of the roof there. I still obviously have to do some detail on this. I do another coat of black on here. I did a couple of, actually I did 2 coats of black, and I did a couple of coats of clear on this, and then I used my Tabia polishing compound and on the Dremel, and got this looking all nice and super shiny. Yeah, it looks really beautiful. So I got to do the chrome trim around the windows before I do the windows, actually. So I'll paint the chrome trim off camera. I'm just going to use the Molotow chrome like I did on the roll cage. I like that chrome, it looks really good. And then we'll put our interior inside here, kind of something like that. I don't know yet. We'll worry about that later. I think actually this bucket goes down on the frame first. I believe it goes down on here first, like that, and then you put the whole thing in the car. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it for today, guys. I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for coming out. Thank you for the new subscribers this week. You guys are awesome. Down below, you're going to see in the description box, you're going to see a couple of links to my Twitch channel where you can watch me live, and links to my Instagram where you can go on there and you can see still pictures that I've taken. Every time I finish a project, I take half a dozen pictures of them or so, and I post it up on my Instagram for you guys to see. So thanks again for watching. Hit the like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you all on the next one.